Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine in an empty room? Or caught a glimpse of a shadow out of the corner of your eye and wondered if you just experienced something paranormal? Many people brush off these experiences, thinking ghosts and spirits are just figments of our imagination. But what if I told you they're more real than you think? In this video, we're going to take you on a spine-tingling journey with 10 real ghost stories that will send shivers down your spine. These stories aren't just urban legends or make-believe. They are real experiences of people who have encountered the unexplainable. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos we upload. All right, now let's get back to the video. The first real story is about Number 1, Ghost of the Young Girl. Reddit user Patented Spacehook shared this true story about his mom. Back when she was a teen, there was this family tragedy. A young girl went to bed with a headache one night and died from an aneurysm. After the funeral, the girl's family went away to cope with their loss, and they asked the guy's uncle to look after their pets. The guy's mom and dad, who were dating back then, went along with the uncle. His mom was excited to play the grand piano in the family's house, while his dad, who was studying to be a vet, went with the uncle to the basement to check on the animals. While playing the piano, the mom feels something brush against her ankles. She thinks it's just a cat from the basement, but then it happens again. When she checks under the piano, there's nothing there. She starts to play again, and this time, she feels hands clasp her legs tightly. Freaked out, she rushes to the basement door to get her brother and boyfriend. Outside, she tells her brother what happened, and he turns pale. He tells them that the young girl who had passed away used to play a game where she'd crawl under the piano while her dad played, grabbing his ankles and pushing his feet up and down on the pedals. Number 2, The Ghost Patient. This is from a guy named Zerbo. He used to work for an ambulance company, and there was this one ambulance, Rig 12, that had a reputation for being haunted. So Zerbo and his partner were on duty in this rural area. It's around 3 a.m., pitch dark, super quiet, and they're both kind of dozing off in the ambulance. Zerbo's in the driver's seat, and his partner's next to him. Suddenly, he wakes up to this muffled voice. He thinks it's his partner mumbling something, tells her he's trying to sleep and tries to doze off again. But then he hears a man's voice, clear as day, asking, "Oh my God, am I dying?" Followed by some heavy breathing. That got both of their attention real fast. They sit up, look back into the patient compartment of the ambulance, thinking the voice came from there. It's silent for a bit, and then they hear the click of an oxygen bottle regulator and a hissing sound, like it's leaking. Zerbo flips on the lights, and they both bolt out of the ambulance. He's thinking maybe someone sneaked in while they were sleeping. They open the back doors, ready for anything. But there's nobody there. Number 3, Ghost of Billy. This story is from Reddit user Abby's Alibi. Abby's Alibi and their neighbor Diane were haunted by an unsettling presence called Billy. In their homes, objects began to mysteriously move. Milk inexplicably placed in a cupboard, toilet paper found in the fridge, and the sugar bowl always emptied. The disturbances grew increasingly bizarre, with Diane once discovering a missing gallon of milk eerily left on their back steps. The situation escalated when Abby's Alibi, in frustration, would yell and point to Diane's home, "Go see Diane!" And within 5 minutes, Diane would face similar eerie happenings in her home. This unnerving game continued for 2 long years, leaving them to question the intentions of this ghost entity. Number 4, The Old House Ghosts. This story is from Reddit user Digsdaws from Melbourne, Australia. Digsdaws moved to a 1930s apartment block in Melbourne, living alone for the first time. A few months in, they come home to find a wooden board, which covered an attic hole in the bathroom, broken in 2. This board was thick, not something easily broken. Puzzled and thinking the landlord might have sent someone for repairs, Digsdaws contacted her. only to learn that previous tenants had reported the same eerie occurrence. One night, around 4 a.m., Digsdaws woke up covered in goosebumps, feeling as if someone was touching them. Then, a dragging sound came from above, like a heavy object being moved in the attic. Terrified but gathering courage, they checked the bathroom, finding the new board covering the attic hole broken again. Whispering voices echoed from the attic, repeating, "It's your turn. It's your turn." Number 5, ghostly boy with no eyes. Reddit user Commendo4 was woken up one night by the sensation of someone sitting on their bed. Expecting it to be his mother, he was startled to see a boy his age, with black, empty eye sockets sitting there instead. The boy held out a box, but vanished when Commendo4 blinked. 5 years later, Commendo4's girlfriend described seeing a boy with no eyes in a Spider-Man pose, staring at her. This revelation shocked Commendo4, as it matched his own childhood encounter. Another 5 years passed, and now with a 2-year-old daughter, Commendo4 noticed her talking to someone invisible every night at the same time. When asked, the daughter innocently mentioned speaking to a nice, lost little boy searching for his mother. This continued until the family moved out of the house. Number 6, the Red Lady of Huntington College. At Huntington College, almost every student is familiar with the haunting legend of the Red Lady. In 1910, a young woman, distinct for her fondness of the color red, joined the college. Unfortunately, she was also seen as odd and kept mostly to herself. As time passed, her isolation deepened. Tragically, she ended her life, her wrists slashed, her body found in a blood-soaked red gown. Since that sorrowful event, numerous students and faculty members have reported seeing a figure all in red, a ghostly apparition wandering across the campus. Number 7, the Ashley Street Ghost. This next one is from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. In 1972, a party thrown by University of Michigan students on Ashley Street witnessed something horrifying. A 15-year-old girl, out of place among the college crowd, suddenly felt an unnerving, bone-chilling cold. Seeking warmth, she headed upstairs, only to encounter a surreal phenomenon. One of the walls began to move, and a dark shadow loomed towards her. Meanwhile, downstairs, the party took a bizarre turn as posters started falling off the walls without explanation, gathering in a pile on the floor. The girl, upon returning downstairs, inexplicably found herself uttering a haunting confession about drugs, addiction, and a plea for forgiveness. What made this more bizarre was that the girl had no history of drug use or addiction. Number 8, the Lighthouse Ghost. This story revolves around the ghost of Frederick Jordan, a lighthouse keeper whose presence is said to still linger at the Penfield Reef Lighthouse off Fairfield, Connecticut. Frederick Jordan, tasked with one of the loneliest jobs, was the head keeper of this lighthouse built in 1874. The lighthouse served as a crucial warning against a hidden reef that had caused numerous harbor accidents. In a tragic turn of events, Jordan drowned in 1916, just before Christmas. Since then, various unexplained phenomena at the lighthouse have been attributed to Jordan's restless spirit. Lighting glitches and equipment malfunctions are often said to be his doing. But perhaps the most eerie and touching of these occurrences is the lighthouse logbook, which keepers frequently find open to the page marking the day of Jordan's death. Number 9, Ghost Who Came to Play. According to Jesus Armendi, DVM, a senior veterinarian for Chewy, there's quite a bit of documentation supporting the idea that dogs can sense paranormal activity. This story comes from Christy Robinette, a well-known psychic medium who has aided detectives with her abilities to communicate with spirits. Marlene, a recent widow, had developed a new routine with her golden retriever, Elmer, after her husband Jack's passing. Every night, Elmer would take Jack's place in bed, comforting Marlene with his presence. This became their nightly ritual, providing Marlene some solace in her grief. However, one night was different. For the first time since Jack's death, Elmer left Marlene's side and went downstairs. Instead of waiting by the door for a late-night outing, Elmer was excitedly dancing, wagging and bowing, just as he used to when Jack came home from work. To Marlene, it felt like Jack had returned, and Robinette believes that's exactly what happened. Number 10. The Lost Colony of Roanoke. Roanoke Colony, established in 1587 off the coast of present-day North Carolina, was one of the first European settlements in the United States. The colony's leader, John White, returned to England shortly after its establishment for supplies. Upon his return, he found the colony deserted. The 115 settlers, including newborn Virginia Dare, had vanished without a trace. Legend has it that Virginia Dare grew into a beautiful young woman who fell in love with a native warrior named Okisko. Today, it's said she haunts the woods in the form of a white deer, a spectral figure that always vanishes at dawn. Longtime residents of the island, as noted by NCpedia, believe this phantom deer is the ghost of Virginia Dare. That's all for today's video, guys. Which story do you find more terrifying? Tell us your views in the comments section. Thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video. See you in the next video. Until then, stay safe.